Hi, Tim Cant here, and in this video we're going to take a look at how you can use sample packs and loops to make a track in WavTool. Making tracks from loops is a fun way to learn about production and arrangement, especially if you're a beginner, and you can use WavTool for free, so this is a great, no-risk way to find out if you enjoy making music. If you'd like to follow along, you can find a download link to the sample pack I use for this tutorial in the description, and if you enjoy this video, please like and subscribe. In this little sample pack we have a bunch of loops, and we can see from their file names that they have varying BPM values, which is how fast they are, different key values, which is what notes they use, and various numbers of bars, which is how long they are. Because they have different BPMs and keys, if we were to just put these into a project and play them all at the same time, it would sound pretty bad. However, with WavTool we can adjust their tempo and key to make them all sound great together. You'll notice all these musical loops are in a minor key. Now, it is possible to get samples in major and minor keys to work together by using their relative minors or majors, but we're going to keep things simple in this tutorial and just use minor samples. When I make music, I typically like to start out with some beats, so let's begin with this beats loop. I drag this into the project and WavTool automatically creates an audio track for it. I move the beat so it starts on bar 1. This beat has a tempo of 100 BPM. So I set the project tempo to 100 BPM by double-clicking it and entering the new value. Because we've changed the project tempo, the clip now goes slightly over its 2-bar length, so just to keep things tidy, I drag the right-hand edge of the clip to return it to 2 bars in length. Now, let's make sure that we have indeed set the project to the correct tempo by turning on the metronome by clicking the metronome button. Now, let's take a listen to the loop and make sure it's in time with the metronome by clicking the play button or press space to play the project back. Okay, that's sounding great. The beat is in time with the tempo, so we can turn the metronome off and add some other elements. The next element I'm going to add is the keys loop, so again, I drag it into the project. We can see from the file name that this loop is at 95 BPM, so to get it in time with our beat, we need to warp it. To do this, we set the warp mode to on, and as you can see from the source BPM value here, WavTool has correctly calculated that the loop is 95 BPM. Great! One thing though, at 4 bars in length, it's twice as long as our beat sample. No matter, I can loop the beat out by dragging its right hand edge, and while I'm at it, I'll set the keys loop to a tidy 4 bars too. Let's take a listen. Okay, that's sounding great. The loops are playing perfectly in time with each other, and I'm ready to add another element. This time I'm going to add a bass line. Now, this bass loop is at 100 BPM, so it's already at the correct tempo for the project. However, its key is A sharp minor. I want to bring it down to G minor so that it's in the same key as the keys sample. So I warp the sample and bring the transpose parameter down to -3. I also loop the sample out so it plays for 4 bars. That sounds nice. So nice in fact, I want to get into the groove and listen to it play a few times. So I click on one of the clips and press Ctrl+L on Windows or Command+L on Mac to tell WavTool I want to loop this section of the project. Now on playback, this section will loop round and I can really get the feel of the vibe I'm creating. I'm enjoying these smooth vibes, but if I want to create a compelling arrangement, I'm going to need to add some more elements. So let's add some brass next. I drag the loop into the project, and this time we need to change both the tempo and the key of the sample. This is very easy though. Activating the warp sorts out the tempo, and I just have to transpose up 2 semitones to take it from F to G. Let's listen. Okay, by now you should have a handle on how this works. We drag a loop in, we make sure it's in time with the project tempo, we make sure it's in the right key to work with the rest of the elements we're using. So this time, let's do something slightly more sophisticated. The next sample I'm going to add is this guitar loop. I warp it, transpose it up 4 semitones from D sharp to G, and set its length to 4 bars. This sounds cool, but it's a little quiet. To balance it with the other elements, I turn up its volume to about plus 3 dB. Okay, that sounds good, but I'd like a little something extra for this sound. Open WavTool's library, select the Plugins and Devices tab, then open WavTool Devices and Delay. I drag the tempo delay device onto the guitar track. We can see in the chain editor, this automatically gets connected, and I can use these parameters to control the effect. I turn the mix up to 0.5 to increase the amount of delay effect. Adding the delay effect makes the track a little quieter, so I turn the track's volume level to about plus 9 dB to compensate. That sounds cool. Right, we've covered all the basics of warping, transposing and adding effects, so let's just add a couple more sounds before we make our arrangement. I add the rides, warp them, and loop them to 4 bars. Then I add the strings, warp them, and transpose them up a single semitone from F sharp to G. Now I have a nice full sounding mix, and it's time to make an arrangement. I turn the loop mode off by pressing Ctrl plus L on Windows or Command plus L on Mac. To duplicate clips, you can hold Alt on Windows or Option on Mac and drag them over. You can also use Ctrl plus D on Windows or Command plus D on Mac to duplicate them. To delete a clip, simply select it and press Delete or Backspace. You can arrange these clips however you like, and creating an interesting arrangement is an important part of making a satisfying piece of music. Here's my arrangement, and if you're just starting out, you might like to copy this. It's not very long, but note how I regularly add and remove elements to keep things interesting. Let's take a listen. When you're happy with your work, you can export it using Export, Download File, Download WAV, or you can use To Song page to share a link. You can even allow your friends to remix your track by selecting the Allow Remix option. There's plenty more to learn about WavTool, so check out the other videos on the WavTool channel, and until I see you again, have fun!